What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We continue with our 2023 predictions. Clemson is up next. Here are some of the other predictions for the Tigers. The FPI has them at 10.3 and 2.3. Of course, that would include a potential ACC championship, so about a 60% chance to get to the conference championship. So 10 and 2 there. Appon has them at 10 and 2. The over/under is at 9.5. Which means Vegas thinks it's more likely that they go 10 and 2 than, or I should say 9 and 3 than 11 and 1. I disagree with that. I think they're more likely to go 11 and 1 than 9 and 3. But that's what Vegas has, and I would say easy money, go with the over, but you never know. And Clemson is not the same Clemson team. Just my thoughts on this team. They're not the powerhouse that they used to be. Now, they're still going to be really good, I think, but you look at the offense, and with Garrett Riley coming in, who knows? If they can turn that thing around quickly and have an offense like TCU had last year, this team could be really, really good. That's what they needed. I think that was a great hire. I don't know if they have the personnel to be that explosive 50-point offense this year. We'll see. Cade Klubnik has had his ups and downs. We haven't really seen enough to know just what we're going to get out of him. We know the run game will be good. I think the offensive line is solid. And the wide receivers definitely have taken a step back for Clemson in recent years. They don't have those superstar wide receivers like they used to have. And I think that's a big difference. But again, with Garrett Riley coming in, I think things are probably going to change offensively and get back to the type of offense, explosive offense that we've seen in the past from Clemson. Just don't know if we'll see that this year. Defensively, they're absolutely loaded. They're really good like always. I will say, and I know if you watch the channel, I repeat myself a lot. I do think that the transfer portal and the lack of use of the transfer portal is potentially going to hurt Clemson. You look at their starters, and they're really, really good, but they don't have a ton of depth. They're going to be depending on a lot of young players, inexperienced players, and they haven't recruited at the level of Alabama or Georgia. So it's not like you're bringing in 5-star after 5-star. So I think the depth of this team is going to be a concern. But overall, you look at the starters, the offense and defensive, both sides of the ball, they look to be right there at the top of the ACC. And the schedule, it kind of sets up really well for them. It's a tricky schedule. It's actually a pretty tough schedule. But you look at some of their biggest games, Florida State, Notre Dame, North Carolina, those might be their 3 toughest opponents this year, all at home. But they do have some challenges on the road: Duke, Miami, NC State, South Carolina at the end of the season. So it's a tricky schedule. This is probably one of the tougher schedules Clemson has had in a while. And maybe part of that's just getting rid of the divisions. You wouldn't play Duke. You wouldn't play Duke, Miami, North Carolina. You wouldn't play all 3 of those teams if you had the old schedule. So that's interesting. But let's get to it here with Clemson. They open up with Duke. I think most people think that this is going to be an easy win for Clemson. I disagree. I think Duke is going to be ready to go in this game. This is going to be a veteran team. They're going to be really, really fired up for this game. After having a good year last year, they come back this year with a little bit of hype, a little bit of momentum, a little bit of belief. And I think on a Monday night on a national stage, Duke is ready for this game. And if you watched our simulation of this game, Duke actually pulled it off. They won this game. I just don't know if Duke is going to have the talent to go toe-to-toe with Clemson for 4 quarters. I think at the end of the day, Clemson does kind of wear them down late, but I think it will be very close, and I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be shocked if Duke pulled off an upset, and I know people think that's crazy, but I do think that it's possible. I'm going to go with a more talented team, though. I'm going to say that Clemson wins this game. Then they beat Charleston Southern, then they beat Florida Atlantic. They get off to a 3-0 start before playing Florida State on the 23rd. We've already done our Florida State video, talked about this game there. I think it's going to be a great one. I think it's a really even matchup. These two teams should go 4 quarters, should possibly come down to the final play, but it's just tough to go against Clemson at home. That home field advantage is really something special there at Clemson. I think they find a way to win it. It's close. Cade Klubnik doesn't play really well. Florida State probably wins this game. I think that's probably what it comes down to. If he can take care of the ball, make some plays, Clemson should win at home. If he struggles, I think Florida State pulls off the win. So it's a close one, but I'm going to go with Clemson, and that's going to put them at 4-0. They play on the road at Syracuse, a team that has given Clemson fits for whatever reason. I don't think this Syracuse team is going to be very good this year. But like I said, we've seen it many times. Syracuse has found a way to upset Clemson or at least make the games close. So we'll probably see another close game, but I think Clemson too good to lose this one, and I'm just not that high on Syracuse. So I've got them starting 5-0. Then you've got Wake Forest without Sam Hartman. I still expect this team to be able to score points. I think their defense, though, is going to be a major concern. Clemson probably runs the ball down their throats, and I think they do wind up, they score a lot of points in this game. They wind up winning and getting to 6-0. They get a bye week after that before playing Miami. They'll play the Hurricanes on the road. Miami is a team that, I was really high on them last year. I wound up looking pretty dumb. This year, I'm cautiously optimistic about Miami. I do think they have a chance to be really good again, but I'm not just going to say that, okay, yeah, Miami's going to go 10-2 or 11-1. I'm not going to go that far with it, but I do think this is a really nice matchup for Miami because they are probably the better team at the line of scrimmage. This offensive line, the defensive line for Miami, they probably have an advantage here. I would say Clemson probably has a better defensive line, but I think Miami's offensive line can hold up, and I think their defensive line is going to be good as well. So just looking at the individual matchups, I think Miami has a really good shot to at least make it even at the line of scrimmage. If Tyler Van Dyke can get back to his old form, Miami's offense has a lot of weapons. They have a lot of weapons, and I just think maybe they pull off an upset here. At home, I'm going to go with Miami to beat Clemson, and they drop to 6-1. If they don't lose to Miami, I think they lose to NC State. I think these two back-to-back road games, one of them is going to trip Clemson up. Maybe it's NC State and not Miami. I'm a little higher on Miami, but both of these games will be tough, I think, for Clemson. I'll say they beat NC State and lose to Miami, but again, that could easily be flipped. NC State going to be a well-coached team, a solid team. I just don't think they have the talent of a Miami team, and again, Clemson just has an advantage there. So we're going to say that they lose to Miami and beat NC State. Then they'll play Notre Dame on the 4th. I've already done my Notre Dame prediction video, talked about this one. And again, it comes down to home field advantage for Clemson. It's going to be a close, hard-fought game, probably a lower scoring game, but I do think Clemson wins at home. And then they'll play Georgia Tech on the 11th. Georgia Tech, an up-and-coming program, finished strong last year, but they've got a long ways to go before they pull off a win, especially on the road at Clemson. I think Clemson wins fairly easily. They get to 9-1. Then they'll play North Carolina on the 18th. Explosive offense. Have they improved on defense? We'll find out. This is probably one of those games that's more of a shootout, kind of the opposite of the Notre Dame game. I think it'll be a good one. I think North Carolina will play better than they played in the ACC Championship last year. But at the end of the day, Clemson at home, I think they do win. It'll be pretty close. I think they win by about 10 points. But they do get that win and get to 10-1. Close things out with South Carolina. This is a South Carolina team. I haven't done their video yet. I don't want to give too much away, but I think South Carolina is going to have a little bit of a rough year this year. Schedule is tough, but a team that's probably pretty desperate at the end of the season. A team that, it could make their season to pull off a win over their rival. They've got the belief. They did it last year. They're playing at home. I talked about depth for Clemson. They're going to go through a tough stretch. Miami, NC State, Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, North Carolina. How healthy are they coming into this game? I talked about their depth. If they're relying on some backups in this game, I think South Carolina has a chance to pull off the upset. And I'm actually going to pick it. I think South Carolina upsets Clemson. They win the rivalry for the second straight season, and they knock Clemson down to 10-2. So I say this on all the videos. Don't get too hung up on the each individual game pick. It's really just about that overall record. I could see it going a different way. I could see them losing to maybe Florida State and NC State, or maybe they lose to Notre Dame and North Carolina. I mean, there are a lot of different ways this could go, but at the end of the day, I do think the record for Clemson will be 10-2 in 2023. We'd love to get your thoughts, your predictions. Let me know what you think about Clemson and what their record will be down in the comments below.